Hey, I'm Ralph Kiner, and welcome to Kiners Korner. Well, the Mets had a tough road trip. In a way, it was a tough road trip. They won 4 and lost 5, and they dropped out of first place, but really needed some picking up here in this ballpark, and they got it tonight. The Mets came in here, and, of course, there's been a lot of talk about the fact that the pitching is a little bit thin. They lost Bruce Bereni for a while. They just signed up Joe Sambito. But the Mets were really looking for a fine job from Ron Darling, and Ron last year had 12 no decisions. This year he started out and had 3 no decisions, and Ron, you're my guest here tonight. We're going to be talking about that in just a moment. And along with Ron Darling, we have a fellow who got 5 hits and 5 times up, and that's something to do in Major League Baseball. I don't think he's ever done that before in his career, dating back to maybe Little League Baseball. So it's going to be Wally Backman and also Ron Darling, and we'll be back to look at the highlights of the ball game, run down all the scores in the American League and National League, right after this message from Mitsubishi. Show here this evening, we have Ron Darling and Wally Backman. Ron Darling came up with a brilliant shot out here, and it was really necessary for the Mets to get back on the track. And Ron, after your last no decision in Philadelphia, you were quoted as saying that it portends that maybe things aren't going to go too well for you. I guess only somebody from Yale would use the word portends, but this really was a turnaround for you, and it looked to me in the ball game that you changed your approach to pitching. A lot more curveballs.
Yeah, the first 3 games I pitched this year, I used a lot more harder stuff in my changeup, but this time I used my curveball. I had a little trouble in spring training, hurting my arm a little with the curveball, and I wanted to wait till my arm was strong enough. And it seems like my arm's coming around, so I had a good one tonight.
Yeah, it really had good stuff. 11 strikeouts, 1 short of your all-time record. You did that against the Dodgers when you struck out 12. And you must have had some thoughts about the no decisions because, well, last year you were second to Steve Carroll, and he had 13, you had 12. But actually, a no decision is just a matter of luck. It's got to change somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it just seemed that every time I was in a close game, it always seemed I'd get a no decision. I was starting to get pretty frustrated over that. But I think the key, whenever I go out there, I try to give the team, 7 good innings, and hopefully we'll win the game most of the time. I think that's the most important thing.
Were you surprised about going all the way, 9 innings?
Yeah, especially early in the season. In spring training, I think the longest I ever went was 6 innings, so sometimes it's tough. But I had good stuff, and it was a lot easier than usual tonight.
Well, let's take a look at some of that good stuff. We'll be back to talk to Wally Backman after we look at this package of Ron Darling. Ron Darling in pitching to Jason Thompson right here, and a good curveball for the strike. Here's Steve Kemp. You got him on 3 pitches.
Yeah,
Later on, you get him again on 3 pitches. And that curveball really working for you tonight.
I didn't know that much about Steve Kemp tonight, but I was able to throw good pitches to him. And when you're throwing good pitches, sometimes it doesn't matter what hitter's up there.
And you go to the fastball there and pick up the strikeout. Good control.
Yeah, I did. For the first time, I had good control inside the right-handers with my fastball that I haven't had in the first 3 games. And I'm glad I did.
Oh, right here. A 2-base hit.
And that's the first time I think I've hit the ball hard this year so far, so I'm just happy to get a hit.
Well, it worked out all right. You came in to score, and the Mets got their 6th run as another double follow.
I know. I think, I can hit a little better than I have been, but I don't know what's going on. Not as good as Wally tonight, though.
Well, speaking of Wally Backman, Wally, congratulations on your best night ever in the Major Leagues. Have you ever had 5 for 5 going way back?
I think that's the first time I've ever had 5 hits in a row, and it's quite a thrill to me. I've never done that before, and I'm just happy that it helped the team win a ball game tonight.
Well, you've been doing something this year you hadn't done before, and you've been bunting a lot more, and you worked very hard this spring on bunting.
Well, yeah, Bobby has worked a lot with me on bunting, and I think that's going to be a key to my success as well as helping the team, because my job leading off is just to get on base, and I think that's really going to be a plus and an added plus for the team as well this year for me to get on base.
Very close play at first base when you first led off in the ball game, and you got the call of safe. Did you think you were safe?
Well, it was a bang-bang play, and the call actually could have went either way, and usually so far this season I haven't got a lot of those calls, and I'm just happy that I did get the call because I really thought I was safe, and sometimes in those close plays you can't really argue if he does call you out, so it's just one of those things that it's a bang-bang play. If they call you safe or out, you got to accept it.
Well, you got the Mets off on top when you beat out that base hit right there, and then you went down, stole second base, went the 3rd in a wild pitch, and scored on Howard Johnson's base hit. So I got the Mets on top 1-0.
Yeah, and I think that's my job, is to try to set the table for the club. My job is just to get on base, and tonight I did what I'm supposed to do out there, and And as long as I do get on base, I think we're going to win a lot of ball games.
Mets got the second run, and this is the way it looked on the highlight package for Wally Backman. And this play crossed everybody up, there's no doubt about it. Runner at third base, and now you bunt the ball to the first base side. No one covering at first. The run scores, and the Mets are leading by a score of 2-0 as Christensen comes in to score in the ball game. Then your next time up, this time you go through the middle with a base hit and another run scoring, and that's your third hit in the ball game. Christensen coming in to score against the wild throw, and then you do it one more time. This time bunted out to the third base side, and Morrison can't pick it up.
That was just that he was so far back there that I had to try to bunt that time.
And let's look at number 5. Got around and pulled that in the corner, and it looks like you're pulling the ball much more this year.
Well, Bill's worked with me a lot on hitting the ball where it's pitched, and it's, you know, so far this season it's really helped me a lot, and hopefully I'll continue to be able to pull the ball like that.
Well, you lead the National League in triples with 2.
Well, that's an added plus too. You know, Bill's worked with me a lot, and it's really helped, and I'm thankful for that.
Wally Backman, one of the heroes of the ball game, and along with him, Ron Darling, who also pitched a beautiful shutout as the Mets won it by a score of 6-0. Their record here at home is now 6 wins and no losses. We'll be back to take a look at the scores and also the highlights of the ball game, the entire ball game, in just a moment, right after this message from NatWest USA. In the ball game as the Mets won it by a score of 6-0. Darling got his first win of the year. He's now 1-0. De Leon, the loser, 0-3, and this is the way it looked to Steve Kemp. He struck out on strikes on 3 pitches. Now it's Wally Backman stealing second base after he had got on at first base, and he comes in to score from third base after going there in a wild pitch on the base hit right there, and Backman continued to have himself quite a day. And here we are with that drag bunt to the first base side. Another run scoring as Christensen comes in for the second time in the ball game. And Backman now has 3 hits and 3 times up. Mets are leading by a score of 3-0. Again, Backman. And coming in is Christensen as he scores in the ball game. And again, the Mets take another big 1-run lead. Right here, a drive out to center field. Strawberry playing center field with Mookie Wilson out of the lineup. And Strawberry trying to make a diving catch in that ball, hustling as well as he could, but just falling short. It goes as a 2-base hit. Strawberry now makes it another 1-run situation as he hits this tremendous drive off the scoreboard in the right field area. And Strawberry now coming up with his 5th home run of the year, and the Mets are leading by a score of 4-0. Hernandez gets his first RBI of the ball game, his 12th of the season, on this sacrifice fly to center field. And here comes Ron Darling in to score the run right there to make it 5-0. Now this play in right field by John Christensen, an outstanding play. The play of the ball game as he dives and takes at least a 2-base hit away from George Henry. And the ground ball to Santana. Throw over to first base, and the Mets win it by a score of 6-0. Ron Darling getting that shutout, and a fine job for the Mets. Mets now have a record of 10-5. They remain 1 game back of the Cubs. Cubs also won their ball game today. We'll be back to look at all the scores in the National League and the American League in just a moment, right after this message from the Wall Street Journal.